Sapna Parikh is here.
Dr. Sapna Parikh on the Upper West Side.
Dr. Sapna Parikh joins us now with our top story at 4:30. Sapna.
This outbreak is getting bigger, which is not surprising because of the way it spreads.
The biggest challenge in this whole debate is the mammogram's the best screening tool we have, but it's not a perfect test.
Trap number 5 is multigrain. You often see it on bread and crackers, but multigrain does not always mean high fiber. And it's amazing outside today. I'm Dr. Sapna Parikh. Soon this weather's going to change. It's going to be impossible tomorrow to stay outside and stay safe.
I know there are so many diet books out there and we are all skeptics, but I sat down with the author of this book to see why he thinks this diet is different than the rest. You need to ask what results you can realistically expect, how many treatments you'll need, and how much it's going to cost you.
But the surge made it all the way here on that night of Hurricane Sandy. And today, most of the hospital is still closed for patients, and you're about to see why. So this loading dock was the problem. This is where the water rushed into the basement and into the hospital.
Also in health news today, new guidelines for parents. Bumper pads should never be used in an infant's crib.
I'm Dr. Sapna Parikh live in Times Square, where it's a party, it's a celebration, but everyone here is fighting rare cancer. Matt over here is a cancer survivor. Stacey over here, a cancer survivor. NASA's undersea research team allowed me to dive with them into Aquarius to show you what it's like inside.
That means it doesn't feel like you're working as hard because you're using all those muscles at the same time. The best place to stand is kind of in the middle so you can still see and you can cheat off the person next to you. The goal here is just to get you up and to get moving and have some fun. Like I said, fake it till you make it. That's what I was doing.
Dr. Sapna Parikh joins us with more. So what is this white line syndrome, first of all, Sapna?
Well, that's one of the terms that's being thrown around. What happens here is even when you're awake with your driving, it can be just moments or seconds where you're awake and then you fall asleep.
No word yet on when or if this vaccine will be fully approved in the U.S.
When I was in medical school, we were in class for the first 2 years. We didn't see any patients till the third year. That's just how it was always done. But now with a little creativity, that curriculum is changing.
You can imagine with cold, wet snow on your face combined with extreme cold temperatures, why it's so important to protect your skin. I really see no reason to be outside tonight unless you have to be somewhere, period.
Has anyone ever fallen off this thing?
No.
I think I'm too old for this. Right here, picture your boss, your ex-husband, your current husband, whoever's driving you nuts. I guarantee you're gonna feel better.
Clinics on wheels and temporary emergency rooms in trailers and tents. That was the picture of healthcare for months after Superstorm Sandy. This is a complete shutdown of the hospital, which is unprecedented. Millions of gallons of water poured into the lower levels of Bellevue Hospital, Coney Island Hospital, and NYU Langone, destroying medical and electrical equipment and the fuel for emergency generators. In total, medical teams safely evacuated over 6,000 patients from 37 healthcare facilities. They carried patients like Caroline Hughes down 10 floors, despite a broken spine and pelvis. And babies like Michaela were born in the overflowing hospitals, struggling to stay open.
We still have a lot of work to do to make sure that we're fully protected.
President of City Hospitals, Alan Aviles, says at Bellevue they moved crucial electrical equipment up to the first floor in vaults like this, and they're working on alternate options to fuel generators.
There are special quick connects that are being constructed. That work is not completed as we stand here, but will be shortly, which will allow us to pull up a diesel truck with its own pump.
So this loading dock was the problem. This is where the water rushed into the basement and into the hospital. And so they built a new floodgate here to prevent that. At Coney Island Hospital, the pediatrics floor has not reopened, but this is the emergency room, up and running after the complete devastation we showed you last fall. Meanwhile, at NYU Medical Center, the main emergency department is still closed. They have an urgent care center open if you have an emergency, but they're not accepting any ambulances yet. As you can see, the main ER is still under major reconstruction. But building officials say they have tested temporary flood barriers and have taken steps to protect the emergency fuel supply. As hospitals continue to rebuild, Caroline is walking again.
I'm just grateful for all the hospital personnel at Bellevue and Roosevelt.
And little Michaela just turned 1, and she found her own shelter for the next storm. Dr. Sapna Parikh, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
This has been a really frustrating debate for the last 4 years. Should we start at 40 or 50? The study making headlines today is not perfect, but it's one of the first to look at breast cancer deaths. How old were the women who did not survive, and did they have mammograms or not?
There's a risk involved in getting the test, and there's also a risk involved in not getting the test.
The test is the mammogram, and new research says not getting one could raise your risk of death. Researchers looked at more than 7,000 patients. Among the women who died from breast cancer, more than half were under the age of 50, and 71% had not been screened on a regular basis. As a radiologist at Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, Dr. Delia Keating was not involved in the new study, but says it supports the idea that women in their 40s should be screened.
We feel that the benefit of mammography is greatest in that age group, actually, because they have most of their lives ahead of them.
But since 2009, a government panel has recommended routine mammograms only for women over 50, sparking a debate as to when's the best time to start. The biggest challenge in this whole debate is the mammogram's the best screening tool we have, but it's not a perfect test. In younger women with dense breast tissue, it all looks white on a mammogram and cancer is harder to detect. And sometimes what looks like cancer turns out to be nothing, leading to unnecessary treatments and a fear that's hard to erase. Christine Benjamin was diagnosed with breast cancer in her 30s.
I was a young woman when I got breast cancer. It's a terrifying time in your life. I would love to prevent that from happening to other young women.
But despite that, she says she would not recommend a mammogram to every woman in her 40s. As the director of SHARE, a breast cancer support organization, Christine works with hundreds of women and says when it comes to mammograms, it's not one size fits all.
It's a personal decision. It's what at the end of the day can you live with?
And it's easier to live with your decision when you know those pros and cons of the mammogram, when you know your risk factors, and then decide with your doctor. So that's still the bottom line. And most insurance companies, I'm told, are still covering the cost for mammograms for women in their 40s.
The celebration has begun this morning, and it's just an unbelievable scene. It feels like a party. It feels like a celebration of life, which it is. But every single person here is fighting. It's also a fight and a battle. Everyone's fighting for a loved one, for a friend, for themselves, to fight rare cancer. I've been covering this event since 2007. Since it started, every single year it's been getting bigger and better.
For the first time ever, Cycle for Survival takes over Times Square.
Cycle for Survival is an indoor team cycling event, but to kick things off, we're going to the heart of Times Square and spreading the word.
The events raise money for rare cancer research. Each rare cancer alone doesn't get a lot of funding, but combined they impact more than half of all cancer patients.
We're here for our friend Jackie, who unfortunately lost her life to a rare cancer.
What began 7 years ago in one Equinox gym is now in 13 cities. Founded by David Lynn and his wife Jen, Jen lost her battle with cancer in 2011, but her smile and spirit inspired what's now a national movement.
Every single day, she wanted to do something to help everyone else.
So far, they've raised over $31 million and funded 85 clinical trials at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Nikki Klein is writing for her father, who's been fighting cancer for 5 years.
He still needs clinical trials, so hopefully riding will raise enough funds so that he can still be someone that's able to participate and keep being my dad.
And one of the worst things you can hear as a cancer patient is there are no other options left for you, and that's what today is all about, to make sure that never happens. Matt over here is a cancer survivor. Stacey over here, a cancer survivor. You guys are making it happen. It's not too late to sign up. This is the kickoff. The events are next spring. You can sign up now and make a difference. We are live in Times Square. I'm Dr. Stephanie Creek, Channel 7 Eyewitness News. Tomorrow is not what you'd expect. And even with all the layers and the usual precautions we talk about, it's going to be impossible tomorrow to stay outside and stay safe. As the temperature dips to dangerously low levels, New York City's first responders are out in full force, and they've seen it all.
We'll see they'll have their oven wide open, and it's just pumping into the apartment because the radiators don't work.
Do not use the oven or stovetop for heat. You can end up with carbon monoxide poisoning. Find a friend or call 311 for the closest shelter. When it comes to hypothermia, there are 4 early warning signs, what we call the umbles. Someone who stumbles, mumbles, fumbles, and grumbles. miles. That means the cold is affecting the body and brain. And beware of where you walk. Slips and falls are the #1 problem.
New York City's notorious for developing black ice. You get a lot of wrist and lower arm injuries because of people catching themselves while they fall.
And with the sub-zero wind chill, frostbite sets in fast. In this 14-degree room at the Midtown -5 ice bar, the liquid freezes solid in 2 minutes. Obviously, your body is warmer than this, but you can imagine with cold, wet snow on your face combined with extreme cold temperatures, why it's so important to protect your skin. Cover as much of your skin as you can. If you have to go outside, this is what you want to look like. And that applies to the entire day tomorrow, even if you're going outside for a couple minutes to get to the subway or from your car to get to work. And if schools are in fact canceled tomorrow, tomorrow is not the day for sled riding or for playing in the snow. Well, part of the problem is how doctors are trained. So when I was in medical school, we were in class for the first 2 years. We didn't see any patients till the 3rd year. That's just how it was always done. But now with a little creativity, that curriculum is changing.
So how have you been?
Robert Klopman is getting a house call today. The 2 young women are second-year medical students learning to become doctors.
Are you gonna sit down?
It's part of a new program at Mount Sinai Medical School called the Longitudinal Care Experience. First-year medical students are paired with a patient who they follow for 2 years.
We wanted to pair students with patients for a very, very long period of time so that they could really experience illness, see all the ups and downs of chronic illness, see all the different providers that patients go to diagnostic tests, go to treatments.
And this patient has nothing but patience as his doctors in training listen to his heart murmur.
I hear it.
And learn to take a blood pressure measurement.
I couldn't hear it too well either, but I thought it was more like 130/90.
So you get to build a relationship with them, really build a sense of responsibility for them.
A sense of responsibility and a sense of empathy.
When you see how someone is living in their house and how much trouble they have getting around, it gives you a more full understanding of their life and the things that they value.
Across the country, medical schools are trying new ways to connect students and patients early on.
How are you?
Good.
How are you feeling today?
Students at NYU Medical School hear from patients like Saverio Sinapi on their very first day, learning what it's like to have colon cancer.
It's just definitely helped me learn that they're people who are dealing with other things besides just their disease.
From seeing how you live in your day-to-day life, what do you hope they learn from you, from that?
I hope they learn to be better doctors.
And do you think it's working?
Yes. I see improvement each time they come. They're more comfortable with what they're doing.
And a recent study found that 71% of malpractice cases involved a poor doctor-patient relationship. So one hope is that better communication will mean better treatment for you and also fewer lawsuits all around. But regardless, it's just a better way to learn. You know, when you see a patient with something, you never forget it.
Oh, yeah. And you know,
I hope you're interested. We're talking about the rowing machine. It's that thing in your gym that you probably ignore, but I love it. It's one of the most effective workouts, and now there's a new class that's making it even more fun. It's called Shockwave, the new class at Equinox Gyms that takes the rowing machine to a new level. It's an interval class where you rotate through different stations.
Each station is always going to focus on hitting legs, core, and arms because that's what the rower focuses on as well.
I like the circuit style training class because you're never in one place for longer than maybe a minute.
But the catch is that you can't switch stations until the rowers go the distance.
When that says 0, you're done.
I'm trying to hurry. I'm trying.
It adds an element of fun, and there's a little bit of a team aspect and a little bit of competition.
I feel like I'm really pushing myself to the max and using all my energy that I possibly can.
Rowing is a highly efficient workout. It uses almost every muscle in your body without any impact on your joints. You can burn up to 800 calories an hour, but the perceived level of exertion is a lot lower than if you were running.
That means it doesn't feel like you're working as hard because you're using all those muscles at the same time.
Most gyms have a rowing machine, so don't be intimidated to check it out. Fitness instructor Danielle Hopkins demonstrates the proper technique.
You want to think in your head, legs, core, and then arms. So big push, lean back, and then just pull at the last second.
And here's what not to do.
There's the overachievers that go back super far, right? And they're pulling up to their teeth.
The best advice, she says, don't overthink it, just try it.
And for more information on that Shockwave class and where it's offered, go to 7 Online.